What is going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today I want to talk about SoFi, more specifically their upcoming earnings. I'm going to be talking on some things that investors need to keep in mind leading up to the earnings and watch for, and hopefully where we might go post earnings, whether we'll break the downtrend or continue down. I'm going to talk about it all. But before we get into any of that, all I ask, smash your thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. And with that said, let's get right to it. So you can see on the ticker from Friday, we did close at $6.39. We hit our 52-week low on Friday. So definitely a lot of fear out in the market. And when it comes down to SoFi's earnings, which is on May the 10th after market close, so even make sure you do subscribe because I'm going to be live streaming this as well. But there's a couple events that's coming up right before this date that might dictate where the market is going. And that is the Fed meeting. So the Feds are going to be making a decision on interest rates. I strongly feel that everyone is under the impression it's going to be a 50-point increase. That is definitely going to be most likely the case as well. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be their guidance, because after the March 16th meeting, they did give a lot of transparency and a lot of guidance on what they are planning to do. And that caused a little bit more of a calming in the market, which allowed a lot of the growth stocks, including SoFi, to have a nice rebound. So hopefully that will be the case, and we'll kind of have a nice bullish trend leading up to this, because even looking back at the previous earnings, last two, the Q4 and Q3 2021, were both beats. More specifically, you can even see the earnings per share and revenue. But unfortunately, in the Q4 earnings, they did get a lot of bad ratings from analysts, which kind of killed the momentum of, unfortunately, SoFi. But like I said, it is what it is. This upcoming earnings is a new whole ball game, because this is going to be the first earnings that it is a official chartered bank. So this is a very big deal in my opinion. But when it comes down to it, there's a lot of positive things. More specifically, looking here, people are going to be looking at the users. How many customers and users did SoFi take in on Q1? Because there's been a lot of marketing. I'm sure a lot of you have seen, especially after the Super Bowl and even on Twitter and various other things. SoFi is really pumping out their marketing. And you can even tell right here, looking at the number of users who visited SoFi Technologies website is up 800%, which you can see in March, which technically is part of the Q1, 38.2 million versus everything seems to be under 5. So definitely a lot of good things happening for SoFi. And this does coincide with, obviously, like I already mentioned, them really pushing out marketing. So that is one very good thing before it comes down to SoFi. In addition to, SoFi's been getting hit quite hard, largely because of its amount of debt. People are worried about it. And you can see 4.19 billion in total debt. And despite the environment, as far as the interest rates increasing, theoretically, SoFi should do fairly well. That's plain and simple. But when it comes down to it, unfortunately, SoFi is getting dragged down well below its intrinsic value, because you can even see right here, book value per share is at $5.29. And like I said, you can even see $6.39 is what we are currently at. Virtually no multiple being placed on SoFi. We are absolutely oversold by many means. So I'd strongly feel that this is going to cause a lot of analysts to give a lot of good ratings on SoFi. That's my 2 cents. But getting more into it though, there's going to be a lot of things that a lot of people are going to be watching for. In case you are new to the earnings game and things like that, there's several different things that investors look for, one of which is revenue. Revenue overall, SoFi has been beating on the last couple earnings, so there is a huge anticipation that we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to pop over here. And looking right here, revenue as far as the Q1, the estimate is 286.36 million. So looking back at previous ones, we have easily outdone that. So that's one attribute that a lot of people are going to be watching for, is revenue. Then there is earnings per share. That's also another attribute that, again, we have been doing well above the estimates from a lot of analysts. And then finally, there is future guidance. In future guidance, they talk about a wide range of everything under the sun that is definitely going to affect the company going forward, including student debt. That's going to be one thing. And what their plans are for it being a chartered bank with the recent acquisitions, there's going to be a lot of good things in that as well. They again are going to be talking on customers. How many customers did it increase on the quarter prior? So again, all of that is going to come into play, but there is a lot of negative things out there right now. So I'm just going to show you this. As far as more so on the technicals and factoring in everything, they actually have SoFi projection as being $4.49 to $5.13. So let me know in the comments below what you think about that. I honestly my jaw dropped when I saw $4.49. That is absolutely insane. So I never see us getting there. But again, when it comes down to the technicals, that is what they are projecting. So let me know in the comments below what you do think about that. But again, getting back right to it. So those are some things that people are talking about, and also some things that people are talking about is SoFi getting acquired by another traditional bank, for instance. And that technically is coinciding with people are now talking about a short squeeze. So I'm just going to vaguely talk about that. So short squeeze right now is not really on the table, in my opinion at least. So 20.24 is a short interest, up roughly about 2% from 1 week prior. Utilization is 100%, and day by day change from Friday, it is up 1.86%, which ultimately works out to be 6.57 million shares being additionally shorted. And overall, for you to have a short squeeze, you need several different factors, one of which is a high short interest rate, which SoFi technically does have. Utilization, you need to have a high utilization as well, which again, SoFi does have. Utilization also means 100% of the available shares to short are currently out, again tying in naked shorts and all that fun stuff. And then you need a high cost to borrow. You need it to be very costly for shorts to maintain their position. But right now, again, you see manipulation in its finest. Cost to borrow minimum, negative 0.03. So ultimately, that does mean whenever you see it negative, brokers are physically paying people to short SoFi. So this is why it's a little bit more incentivizing for shorts to increase their position. So out of everything, unless cost to borrow does go up, I don't see it being a short squeeze. But when it comes down to it, people are coinciding it with, hypothetically, like I already mentioned, with being taken over. And I personally don't see that in the mix. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that, especially that seems to be the common thing that are floating around. Again, SoFi is extremely undervalued, so I think a lot of retail investors are just trying to kind of make up some things, possibly such as the short squeeze, just to make us feel better, or some factor. I don't really know at the end of the day. But when it comes down to it, if there is a hostile takeover, so that does mean that it's not really up to SoFi's choice at all. But what happens is a bank, for instance, such as Bank of America, could just buy any and all available shares of SoFi up until even they get 51% ownership. Because even looking at Bank of America, for instance, their market cap is $303 billion. And right now, as far as total cash equivalents and short-term investments, they have $568 billion. Going back here, I'm just going to pop over here just to give you that in a kind of a more different view. SoFi is only 5.82 billion. So theoretically, once again, they could just outright buy SoFi and just get the benefits of that. So this is where people are talking about, and again, this is where a squeeze would come into play. So overall, it is what it is. I don't see that happening, but when it comes down to it, people are just clinging on to a lot of different things. More specifically though, I think this upcoming earnings is going to be a very big one at that hopefully will be enough to get us out of this rut. Because even more so looking on the technicals though, we are extremely oversold. Looking here, I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So on a lot of these indicators, it is extremely oversold, such as stochastic. It is at 4. Very, very much oversold. Even momentum, number of buyers has definitely been leaving SoFi, hands down. And on the actual chart, unfortunately, we're breaking below all of the support points. Even more so looking on the Fibonacci right now, you can see we did break the S2, which was at $6.81. This is where, again, they are getting that projection of low $4 for a price target, because the S3 is at $4.80. So this is where people are getting that information from. But at the end of the day, I strongly feel we won't get to that by any means, and hopefully the Feds will cause us to have a nice rebound after they give us a lot of good guidance. But like I said, let me know in the comments below what you do think about that. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up and subscribe to all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. Also, keep in mind, I am not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But with that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.